Hello class, my name is Victor Panish and I will be giving a brief synopsis of the Works Progress Administration.
I would like to start off with a brief recap of history with how the Works Progress Administration came to be established. So within the time frame of the WPA's establishment, we were suffering through the Great Depression, which placed many out of work and an incredible hardship to come up with wages to pay and support themselves and their families. Roughly 4 years into the Depression, Franklin D. Roosevelt came into presidency with promises of a resolution to the economic struggle. FDR had come up with a quick way to resolve the issues with his New Deal, which had established many programs to help combat the situation, one of which was the WPA. On May 6, 1935, President Roosevelt established the Works Progress Administration, with the main idea of creating employment and infrastructure in the country by providing paid public projects. This employed many and started putting bread back on the table by providing the ones employed with a consistent salary. The main works carried out by the agency were the building of roads, bridges, hospital, parks, and many other projects. WPA also hired artists, singers, musicians, and actors. 30,000 women under the Household Service Demonstration Project were also trained, which helped them find employment in households as domestic help. And with the WPA's great success, it had rapidly decreased unemployment to a merely 2%. With the beginning of World War II, when President Roosevelt declared that as millions of men have joined the military, as well as many companies also have started to hire people and train them according to the specific needs of the company, the National Reform Program was no longer needed, and the WPA ceased to exist after June 30th, 1943. Throughout the years of FDR's New Deal, we saw many benefits that it had created to combat the Depression, such as relief, recovery, and reform. The Works Progress Administration was part of President Roosevelt's relief plan by providing jobs to the unemployed, even helping minorities. People were actually able to provide for themselves and their families through being employed for a project provided by the Works Progress Administration. They had been provided several jobs, most of which required very little skill or none at all. Many of the jobs given actually improved our infrastructure as more buildings, hospitals, schools, and parks had been created. The art that had been created throughout the program could be compared to the Greek Renaissance, which coincidentally had its artists funded by their government as well. The problems that formed throughout the program included a very big budget that was given to support the paying of wages to the employed, which was an annual budget that started at $1.3 billion in 1935 and totaled with $13.4 billion spent by the end of the program. Some critics even claimed that the agency was inefficient and wasteful by implying that some workers were lazy and paid to dig holes while the others were paid to fill them. I want to share a screenshot I found which depicts a relatively accurate number of projects done throughout the lifespan of the Works Progress Administration. This actually portrays an enormous number of work that had to be issued throughout the program, and with such a tremendous number of accomplishments, there had to be an extensive amount of workers to do it. WPA in fact employed over 8.5 million throughout its existence, peaking in 1938 with roughly a total of 3.3 million employed at that time, which also included 600,000 women. And to this day, most of us have actually traveled or seen many of these projects as casual encounters in our lives without actually knowing about how they came to be. And if you look it up, it's actually pretty interesting to see all the places around you which have been established throughout the WPA. When President Roosevelt established the WPA, there was actually much skepticism, stating that he was doing it just to gain support throughout regions that he was not very favorable in. Many state that he established more employment opportunities in the South just to gain more support, especially within the employed. Also, with the government paying for labor throughout the country, many thought that this was the beginnings of communism. Most of these assumptions were actually just theories and not proven facts. Nonetheless, and interestingly enough, President Roosevelt actually served 3 consecutive terms as president, being the first and only to do so. In summary, the Works Progress Administration worked. It provided jobs to the unemployed and helped people earn wages. The immense workload had a huge budget and federal spending to support the employed, and had provided infrastructure that we still use today. Women and minorities were also helped throughout the agency. We had a huge boom within our artistic culture. Unemployment rates fell, and with the start of World War II, many men left to work within the army, while factories started to specialize in tasks to help the war efforts by employing and training workers, which led to the end of the Works Progress Administration. I hope you enjoyed my presentation on the WPA, and hopefully you took something from it. Any useful links that I have used to conduct my research will be placed in the description box below. Thank you for watching and have a great day.